Hello, everyone. Namaste. It's an honor to be here. Um, I see Tobias. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's already here, very prompt, and we just wait for maybe 3 more minutes so that some people join us and then we begin. I'm really excited to be here today to get to engage and interact with everyone. Since Tobias is here, uh, maybe if you'd like to just come and show your face and let me know what you're expecting from the session today so that I can make it more engaging and meaningful for you since you're spending your valuable and wonderful time being here today. I will try to make it worth your while. Yes, somebody else has just joined us. Rafael is here. Hello, Rafael. Wonderful to have you here. We are just waiting for 2 more minutes so that a couple more people can join us. And in the meanwhile, if you would like to um, be here, say hello to everyone, and tell me what you're expecting from the session today, I will be better able to share what I know with everyone. All right, no worries. I think everyone is eager to listen to what I have to say. We'll keep the interactions towards the end. So today I basically wanted to talk to everyone about, as the topic suggests, three very important aspects of Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality, Indian wisdom, and they weave themselves very intricately into part of our culture as well. These words, which are now buzzwords, they're keywords, everyone around the world throws them casually in conversations, but maybe not everyone knows the depth which they carry, the legacy which they carry, the knowledge which one needs to understand them, apply them, and integrate them in their life. And since I spent now a majority of my life studying these concepts academically as well as in day-to-day life, I wanted to speak to you about these topics. They are karma, dharma, and freedom, words which are very often heard but maybe not as well understood. Just a little background um, about me. So, I'm Dr. Charu Thapliyal. I am from India, from the state called Uttarakhand. If any of you are familiar with India's geography, Uttarakhand is in the northern part of India. It's adjoining Nepal. So, maybe that will help you all place me. Most of the spiritual hotspots in India for the Western world, Rishikesh, Haridwar, the Ganga River, all of them fall in Uttarakhand. So that's the wonderful land where I choose to take birth in this life. And I've been nurtured by nature energies throughout my life from the Himalayas. My spiritual journey, my quest for truth, my quest for knowledge began as little as when I was, I think, 10 years old. The first book that I ever came across, which ignited a spark in me to understand more than what was just visible to my physical eye, was The Alchemist. I read that when I was in sixth grade, more or less. And then the next part of the journey, which was really a turning point, was that our school had obligatory meditation sessions for all the students. So even without knowing it, we were already on the path. We were already on the journey. We were being opened up to knowledge coming in from different streams. And so I have been meditating as little as when I was 12 years old. So this long journey of meditation, of self-inquiry, which later the inquiry became so uh, pertinent that I was a science student in school, but I took up philosophy as my major when I was in college. Then I went on to study for more than 10 years. Got a bachelor's, master's, MPhil, PhD, did as much research as I could, meditated as much as I could. The hunger in me to understand myself and the world around me was so much that it ultimately led me to my guru in 2016. And even though I myself was coming from India, but since I had not read the texts, I had not engaged with them, I did not have a physical guru. These concepts, again, to me, were something that was available. It was all around, but I never really understood them. It's like maybe for you all as well, a certain word in the dictionary that you have heard all your life in English, you've used all your life, you vaguely know its meaning, but if somebody asks you to define it, you might not be able to. So that was my journey with these concepts as well. But ultimately, I remember very clearly in 2016, there was a yearning in my soul. And now looking back, I can see how it was part of my ascension journey. It was a very crucial turning point for my soul where I had this very strong urge to find someone who could guide me because I had read all the texts and I seemed to know the theory, but I still did not understand it. I was meditating, but still I was not able to integrate those things. And so finally, it was the presence of a live guru, a live master, which kickstarted things in motion. And since 2016, it was like I got a spiritual jetpack and I started having a lot of experiences. I started having third eye experiences, a lot of astral travel, projection, lucid dreaming, receiving messages, downloads from different masters from the universe, from my own higher self, different ascended masters, angels. Everything became very, very concentrated in that period of time. I met my soul family, I met my group consciousness with whom I'm working till now. A lot of karmic connections started coming to the surface, and I slowly started resolving those threads one by one to come out of the matrix. And that journey has carried on till now. I'm in a different part of the world right now. I'm speaking to you all from Spain, and the journey continues. But basically, why I'm talking to you about all these things is because there is no separation between physical life and spiritual life. There is no separation between the West and the East. A lot of spiritual concepts that have originated in India can also be seen in different parts of the world in different indigenous communities. Maybe not so in the recent or modern texts or discourses, but if you go back to the original settlers, the indigenous communities, our forefathers, our ancestors, you will see those concepts resonated there as well. And specifically, these concepts of karma, dharma, and freedom. So, karma, just to give it a little breakdown, because I always feel if you have to go to the root of a word, you should break it down. And karma comes from the root Kri in Sanskrit, which basically means action. Now, a very big myth, a very big misunderstanding that I have observed in the West around karma is that karma basically means something, it's like a punishment. It's something that's coming to bite you back. You did something wrong and now you are suffering for it. That is what the West understands as karma. But that is not the case. If you look at it, one of the universal laws that we cover in spirituality in India is the law of karma. So the law of karma is as universal, as neutral, and as indifferent as gravity. So just like gravity does not care whether an apple is on a tree in Spain or in India or in Australia or in Timbuktu for that matter, if the apple uh, falls, it is going to fall down as per the law of gravity because it's an impartial law of the universe. And similarly, karma is a law which is impartial for everyone. It is just the law of action and reaction. Every action has its own reaction. So your positive actions have positive reactions, and your negative actions have negative reactions. And that is basically what karma is. And karma, again, stripping it down, action in India is not just seen as something that you're doing physically. Your thoughts and your intentions also count as actions. So, just in case you're planning to steal something, but you don't actually do it, but you've had the intention, you've had the thought of harming someone, even though you've not actually done it. The karma or the energy, the intention has already been set in motion. And that is how deep and intricate this web of karma, we can call it like a matrix of karma. That's how intricate and deep it is. And that is why a lot of people find themselves stuck and unable to move forward in their journey of karma because they feel like I'm a spiritual being, I meditate, maybe I'm vegetarian, I do good for the world, I do my service, and yet there are things that have been coming in my life ever since, in fact, I started my spiritual journey. My life seems to have become more difficult than it was before. This is a point that I see in a lot of people's journey where they say that life seemed easy before. And ever since we got on the path of spirituality, it's like the challenges are never ending. Why is that? Shouldn't it be the opposite way around? That now, since I'm a spiritual being, I'm more aware and I'm taking an active stance in resolving, my journey here on earth, serving my highest purpose. Why is it that I am receiving more challenges now? It's as if the universe is trying to break me. And that is in a way true because the universe is trying to break you, but it's trying to break you open. It's trying to break open all your limitations, your socially constructed understanding of yourself, and it's trying to break open that shell of your personality so that your soul can shine through. And this is where the concept of karma helps us. That's where it comes in. Once we understand the concept of karma, how is it that I should live my life? What should I think? How should I act? What should I do? Your karma tells you that. And in Indian spirituality, we have four types of karma. The first one is Sanchit karma. These are Sanskrit words, which I will break down for everyone here. Sanchit karma basically means karma that has been stored since your past lives. So, this karma, think of it as a library. It's a huge library where all the books are stored, but you're not reading all of those books at once. So, that is your Sanchit karma. It is the gathered experience, the good and the bad, everything that is stored in your personal library. But you haven't taken those books out yet. The next that we have is Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha, again, is a Sanskrit word. Prarabdha karma is the karma which you are facing right now in your life. So, the body you have, the house you're living in, the family that you have, any particular challenges that you are facing in your workspace, in your health, in your career, finances, all of that is your prarabdha. It is the karma which is fructifying right now, which is giving its fruit right now in your present life. That is the prarabdha. The third type of karma is the Agami karma, which is the karma that we are creating right now for our future self. And then the fourth type of karma here, which is a very special type of karma, is the Kriyaman karma. The Kriyaman karma is karma, which now, I guess, in popular discourse, we term as instant karma, where you are going to perform an action and the results are going to be immediate. Think of it this way. I'll just give a small differentiation between the last two types of karma, Agami and Kriyaman. Agami karma is something that happens in the future. So, if right now, for example, I refuse to exercise, I refuse to eat healthy, I smoke a lot, I drink a lot, I may not have immediate consequences in my life, but maybe in a couple of months, in a couple of years, depending on again my immunity, my prarabdha, my habits, it will at some point show its effect on my life. If not in this life, in the next life. A lot of people go through inexplicable health problems, even though they seem to be extremely healthy in their present life, because that was karma that they already created for themselves in a previous life, which is now giving its fruit right now. And Kriyaman karma, on the other hand, is something that gives you an instant result. So you do something and immediately you see its result in a few minutes, in a few hours, in a few days, or maybe a few weeks, not more than that. So it's very instant karma. Because a lot of people also have this question that saints and sages and holy men who have transcended their karma matrix, how is it that they're still alive? How is it that they're still working and functioning? Are they not creating more karma for themselves? Because they are operating from Kriyaman karma. Their karma is giving them instant results. And so they are not creating any future karma for themselves, since this is going to be their last life. So, this is, in a nutshell, the concept of karma. And why it's important for us to begin with this is because understanding karma then helps us understand dharma. Dharma is again an Indian concept. It comes from the Sanskrit root dhri, that which helps to uphold or sustain your existence. Dharma is a word which does not have an equivalent in the English language. You can translate it as religion, but that's a very gross mistranslation. Dharma does not mean religion. Dharma means that which upholds your existence. And in that sense, everything has a dharma. And notice how I say everything and not everyone. Everything has a dharma. The river's dharma is to flow. Water's dharma is to flow because it is an essential part of its being. It is part of its essential nature. It is part of its swabhav, as we call it in Sanskrit. And so, once you start understanding your karma, what is it that you are actually doing? How is it that you're actually living in your day to day life? You're able to understand dharma. What is it that I'm doing or not doing to be my most authentic self? Our dharma is what shows us a mirror, and tells us whether we are being true to ourselves or not. So, dharma is your duty, your obligation, because that is another translation in English that we have for dharma. So, in a way, yes, it is a duty, it is an obligation, but to your most authentic self. I remember a quote by Richard Bach, which really has been a guiding light for me all these years, when he wrote that the only given obligation in any lifetime is to be true to yourself. That is the only obligation a human being has. That is the only dharma that one needs to perform. And everything else stems from that. It's a corollary of that. Dharma itself can be seen in two ways. There are two types of dharma. And there's just in case anyone's wondering, there's a very specific reason why I'm not, um, sharing my screen. I don't have a presentation in front of me because I know the Western mind likes to analyze and be logically oriented and have things presented in a very analytical manner. But what I want everyone to do right now is to just listen to my words and be solely, wholly focused on the energy that I'm sharing, because what I'm doing right now is activating codes within your DNA, within your higher self. And if this knowledge resonates with you, you do not need to, in the first instance, get too involved into the intricacies of the academics of it. Just understand, feel the energy of what I'm trying to share with you. And once the energy integrates, then you can go and look at it academically. So, dharma is of two types as we see it in Indian culture. The first one is Swadharma. Swadharma is dharma towards your own self, your duty towards your own self. So, it can be something as basic as, like I mentioned, taking care of your health, having a balanced diet, not smoking, not drinking, not doing anything that's harmful for your body. And in a larger sense, it can be honoring your self binding contracts and releasing yourself from them, releasing yourselves from any limitations that you put on yourselves, any ism that you have put on yourself. That is part of your dharma, to honor your boundaries, to um, honor your higher self, your purpose in life, to put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but a self oriented way. Indian wisdom never teaches us to be selfish, but it does tell us, it does encourage us to be self oriented. It does guide us to be individualistic, keeping in mind the collective. And that is Swadharma. To give a more day to day life example, when you are on an airplane and they teach you about, they give a demonstration about the oxygen masks. So that's what they say, that when the oxygen masks falls down, first put your own and then help people around you. That is a very wonderful example of Swadharma. That unless I help myself, unless I'm truly myself, unless I'm situated in the core of my being, I cannot be of service to anyone else. Because a lot of people on the spiritual path, again, and I have counseled and worked with people who are on different levels and parts of the journey. But there are these themes and archetypes that you see. So the wounded healer archetype that we see in spirituality, where people are doing a lot of service, they are helping others, especially women. Because of the wounded feminine, we see this archetype in them. They are giving everything they have, but not receiving the expected in return. whether it be honor, whether it be respect, whether it be validation, whatever it is. It's like there's a one way giving which is happening even in the field of spiritual service. And to the point where you empty yourself, and then this whole journey of who am I and what is my purpose, what was this all about, why did I start this journey, these kind of questions start coming in. So all of this comes under the ambit of Swadharma. When we talk about inner work, when we talk about inner child healing, when we talk about shadow healing in the West, these are all part of Swadharma, your duty to yourself. Unless you work through these parts of your psyche, of your consciousness, your service to others will be limited. Your service to the world will be limited. You will not be able to understand your gifts. You will not be able to share them as wholly with the world as you would like. So, whenever you think of dharma, swadharma, your duty to yourself, I always like to think back to this example of, the oxygen mask in the airplane. Always put your own first and then proceed to help others. And the other type of dharma is paradharma. Paradharma is my duty towards others. Now that I'm situated in my being, in my energy, in my core, I I not only intellectually understand, but I embody my frequency. Every soul has its own frequency. And the sad part is that we don't understand our own frequency. We say that we are all one, which is true in the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, that is the beauty of duality. Duality is not here to um, cause hurdles in our journey or give us some kind of pain. Duality is a very beautiful aspect of living on earth because you learn so much from duality. I learn from you only because I'm different from you. If I were the same as you, if we were all exactly the same, if we were all literally one at the level of the physical, there would be nothing to learn from you. So, duality is a very wonderful concept. It is nothing to run away from, nothing to discard, because nature does not create anything without a purpose. There is a higher intelligence which is much bigger than any kind of human or artificial intelligence, and I like to call it the original intelligence. In Indian wisdom, we call it the Shakti, the original moving force, which is the creative power of Shiva. And it is that original intelligence, that creative force, which creates the physical world as we see it. And duality is very much a part of this life on earth. And it's a very beautiful aspect of it. Because through duality, we evolve much, the speed increases. The speed of evolution increases. The lessons that we get are more deep. And so, Paradharma here is my duty towards others. Once I'm situated in my frequency, once I'm sure of my purpose here, once I have learned to distinguish the voice of my mind from the voice of my soul, from the voice of my higher self, it is only then that I can distinguish that inner voice from external voices. A lot of people also come and ask me that they have a lot of spiritual experiences, but they are not able to understand them. They get a lot of messages, but they are not able to understand whether it's something that they have created from the mind, whether it's an actual experience that they are having, whether it's coming from someone else. So, one question that is very prevalent in spiritual seekers around us is this all just in my head? Is this just a creation of my mind? And this is where Swadharma helps you. Your duty towards yourself helps you because when you are so situated in yourself and your frequency, just like in your room or in your house, you have arranged everything as per your needs, your requirements, your likes and desires. And if somebody else comes and puts something else in the room, you will immediately come to know this is not mine. Who put it here? And then you probably go and ask the other family members, is this yours? Did you leave it in my room? Because you are so crystal clear about everything your room holds. But we lack that clarity when it comes to our own inner self. And that is why we are always in conflict, in a tussle between what, which thought is mine, which desire is mine. Is this actually what I want to do or need to do, or is this something that has been imposed on me by others around me, by my limiting beliefs on me, by my ancestors on me, my lineage on me, the society that I live in on me? And once you understand your duty towards yourself, you really begin to honor your duty towards others, because the only way to do that, and this is, I would like to think, the biggest secret of spirituality that I have uncovered in my personal research in the past 20 years or so. The only way to do service to others is to offer your gifts to the world. It is not to give the world what the world needs, but it is to give the world what you have. And there's a very fine line, very small difference between the two. And I want you to go on and think about this, meditate on this later, because that is our duty towards others, and that is what Indian wisdom teaches us. And there are many epics, there are many stories, there are many legends on this. When we talk about the Vedas and Upanishads, which are the sacred texts of India, they have a lot of stories within which illustrate these points. But I just wanted to keep it very conversational today, tell you about the basic concepts, and then we'll have a little bit of question and answer session at the end, because I'm sure there are a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions, and especially if you are coming from the West, if your soul has decided to take the body and the mind of a Western, of an individual from the West, which my soul has as well at multiple points. I have seen a lot of my past lives uh, where I was born um, in the Western world, and the learnings are very different. The way you approach the wisdom is very different. But the beautiful aspect of it is that uh, once we have that wisdom in the core of our being, it's like having a code. Once you have the code and you're able to integrate the code, it functions the same way. And so, language, culture, geography, none of it remains a barrier anymore. It's only a barrier till it is, if you know what I'm talking about. So this is what Dharma teaches us. Quick recap: karma. We have four kinds of karma. Um, the karma, Sanchit karma, which is things, deeds, actions, thoughts that we have had in our various past lives, which is still waiting. Just like books in a library, they have not been taken out, they have not been read, they have not been used. It is just a repository. The second one is Prarabdha karma. Karma is like the library book which you have issued right now. You're reading it currently, you're engaging with it. So everything that is going on in your life right now is your Prarabdha karma. These are the fruits of whatever you have performed in the past, and that is why you're receiving them today, whether good or bad. The third one is Agami karma, so karma for the future, anything that you're doing right now, which is setting stage for karma, for its fruit in this life or the future ones. That is uh, your agami karma. And the fourth one is kriyaman karma, which is the karma which gives you instant results. So people who have uh, walked on the path of ascension from 3D to 5D, who are embodying their highest self, who have overcome the karma matrix, who are not in that formation of karma anymore, they then go through this kind of karma, which is Kriyaman karma. So instant cause and effect. Talking about dharma, there are two kinds of dharma. One is swadharma, which is your duty towards yourself. And from the mastery of that comes the second kind of dharma, which is paradharma, duty towards others. And why both these concepts are important to understand, and pretty much the basic of Indian thought, is because they help us uncover and move towards the third topic that I want to talk to you all about, which is freedom. So, freedom here being the English word, in Sanskrit or in Hindi, we call it Mukti. And since we are here on the platform Smukti as well, I'm assuming, actually, I'm really sure that must be a core belief that they have about their offerings. Because when you really think about it, even if you don't know all these words, there's an innate knowing, there's an innate understanding that we all have, um, that you feel caged. At some point in your life, you feel limited, you feel trapped, maybe sometimes in the body, sometimes in your mind, sometimes in your environment. We keep chasing things, whether it is materiality or at a point, even spirituality. You keep chasing because you feel the next best thing. Once it arrives, it is going to liberate you. It is going to give you immense happiness. It is going to relieve all the pain and suffering that is going on in your life. And that does happen very momentarily. But again, you fall into this cycle of lack, scarcity, then seeing that there is something outside of me which can fill this gap, this emptiness in me, chasing after that, manifesting it, receiving it, slowly getting bored of it, um, and then wondering if there's something else that can fill that void in me. So, this is the cycle that we go through. The Kal Chakra, basically. Kal is means time in Sanskrit, and Chakra means wheel. So, the wheel of time. This is the journey that the wheel of time takes us through. And it always follows the set pattern of a high and then a low, of abundance, then slowly realizing there is an emptiness within, going through the dark night of the soul, confronting your shadow selves, then seeing some light, going up to a peak, and then coming down again. And thus it continues without an end. And at some point, when the soul has matured, because these concepts which I'm discussing with you today, these are not concepts that would come to the minds of a baby souls or even infant souls. But when a soul comes to a mature soul stage and later on to an old soul stage, these concepts start kicking in. How do I extricate myself from this cycle, this never ending cycle of time, of abundance and then lack, of having and then wanting? And that's where the inner journey begins. And that is where our path towards mukti or freedom begins. In Indian philosophy, in Indian culture, we do not look at death as the final liberation. Death is only the closing of one project, one chapter, and the beginning of another. And so, in Indian culture and philosophy, very different from the West, we are always preparing for death. We are living life very intensely, fully, wholly, with awareness. But we are also preparing for death and what comes beyond it. So, all these topics which discuss karma, dharma, freedom, the different types of karmas that I spoke to you about, that is all a preparation for the grand next adventure which the soul is going to go on. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, the very famous lines from Lord Krishna when he tells Arjun that just like a Person changes their clothes, the soul also changes its bodies. And death is nothing but that moment of transformation from one body to another, and that is it. So, Indian culture then um, teaches you to be very fearless in your pursuit of yourself. And just like in the West, we have this abbreviation, you only live once, YOLO. So I always like to say, you only live each life once. And that is what Indian culture teaches you. And that is when, if any of you have been to India or have encountered Indian wisdom, Indian spirituality, if you have encountered the frequency of India within you or outside you, you will know. And that is why India is such an exotic, a mysterious, an alluring place for everyone around the West. You're just not able to wrap your heads around it, because that is what India does. India teaches you to fully live in the present, but also be aware that death is the inevitable reality. And so, how do we prepare for it and our journey beyond? And all of this takes place at the same time. So mukti then here, we have different kinds of mukti as well. One is when you are able to liberate yourself from the matrix of karma that you have created for yourself, but still be living, functioning in the body. And the other one is when you liberate yourselves from the different bodies that you have. And yes, we have different bodies. That is another um, secret of Indian spirituality, that it teaches you that the physical body is just one of our bodies and we have different bodies. And ultimate liberation or mukti is when you liberate yourselves, when you close the portals and the doors of all these different bodies. But that again is a very higher level concept. So maybe we'll take that up some other day. The point of mentioning all of this to you is not to overwhelm you, not to scare you, but to just tell you how fruitful, exciting, and amazing this journey can be of being a human being, of being in the physical body, when you truly understand why you're here. Unless we understand what is the purpose of being in a human body, why am I here on this earth, we will keep feeling like life is a burden. Life is something that is given to me by others, and there are expectations that I need to fulfill, there are obligations I need to fulfill, and life seems a drag. But the minute you understand these concepts, you understand karma, you understand whether you are performing your dharma, you understand whether you are performing your karma, you understand whether you are on the path to liberation, whether you are on the path to mukti sadhana, whether you are doing that to liberate yourself, not from just the overall at the end, but also in your day-to-day life. Are you freeing yourself from your environment, your limiting beliefs? And all of this comes when you have your why in place. Just like when we were kids and our parents taught us how to brush our teeth. They don't have to come to us every day and tell us now as well, right? Once they taught us and they imprinted in our minds the importance of brushing our teeth. Why is this important? Why is this good for you? Why is this necessary for you? Why is this unavoidable? We became so aware of it that we did not need to be told again. So, similarly, is the case with all these concepts with Indian wisdom, Indian spirituality. If you are so sure in your mind why you are here in the physical body, what is your purpose, what is your path, what is your gift to the world, what is your journey, then everything that comes into your life will seem like an opportunity, it will seem like a blessing. Every person who causes you pain, you will be grateful to them for showing you where you needed to improve yourself, where you needed to stand firm in your boundaries, where you needed to learn and give to others after you have given to yourself. So, understanding these different concepts about Indian spirituality, Indian wisdom is not just a journey into the academic side of it. It's not just an intellectual inquiry. It's not, um, just a hobby, an academic hobby, but rather it should be coming from a space of truly trying to understand who am I? And once that query has been satisfied, moving on to the query of what am I? What is it that I am? Because I know I'm energy. We say Aham Brahmasmi, we have all these terms in Sanskrit as well. I am everything, I'm the universe in motion, I am energy, but um, just go and I'd like to leave everyone with an exercise for today. Today, after every maybe an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, set a particular time for yourself and just check in with yourself. Did I live the past hour or the past 2 hours or the past 3 hours completely situated in the understanding that I'm energy? And I already know the results of this experiment. No, we will not be living that way. But the point of this experiment, this exercise, is just to be aware of how far we drift from ourselves when we are not aware about our energy, our spiritual being. So just perform this exercise today. Go back to yourself and see how much of my life, how much of my day, how much of my 24 hours am I living truly situated in my true self? If not, then you know the three concepts that you can always come back to, which is, am I performing my karma as I should be performing in this life, as this character, as this personality that I am? Am I performing my dharma, my duty, my obligation? Am I moving towards the path to personal and collective freedom, to mukti, to liberation? And slowly, if you continue this exercise for even 11 days, you will start to notice changes in you. And as the subtle changes start to happen, they will show up in the physical as well. And to complement all of this, I always tell people you have to meditate to move away from your mental social conditioning, to have more energy to be able to um, integrate and embody these concepts. We need to meditate. Without cosmic energy, we are not going to move beyond intellectual debates on these topics. And that's a reason why yoga, meditation, all of these things moved simultaneously with the Gyan Marg, with the path of knowledge in India. Because knowledge without its integration, without its embodiment, is just an intellectual exercise. So there's a particular meditation method that I have been following for the past 20 years, which is called Anapan meditation. Uh, Anapan is a Pali word which basically means becoming one with your incoming and outgoing breath. And this is, to give you reference, if you've ever seen images or statues of Gautam Buddha, Lord Buddha, meditating under a big tree, where he, achieved enlightenment, where he got his ultimate freedom. So this is the technique that he was following there. So you cross your legs, you interlock your fingers, you close your eyes. You don't wear any glasses because you don't want any blockages on the nose, on the air passage. And all you do is you observe your incoming and outgoing breath. And whenever any thought comes to mind, you release that thought, you let it pass, and you go back to your breath. It is as simple as that. Because through the breath, we are connected to the vital energy of the cosmos. We are connected to this body, to our mind, to this life. And your breath is the doorway, the portal, your guru to everything. So take some time every day to be with your breath, to honor your breath, to learn from it. And once you just keep your awareness as a witness on your incoming and outgoing breath through your nose, slowly the gaps between your thoughts will start to increase. And when the gaps between our thoughts start to increase, we get more cosmic energy. And when we have more cosmic energy, we are able to understand these concepts better. We are able to be in the presence of high energy people, high energy places, high energy wisdom. And we can move towards our 5D ascension, especially with everything that is happening in the world right now. It is a turbulent time for everyone, but how we move ahead of it depends on how much energy we have. So clearly, there is a very conscious and visible shift between 3D and 5D, which is happening right now. And it's a very personal choice whether you want to remain in 3D, the vibration of lack with your karmic accounts, in suffering, in pain, in victim consciousness, or whether you want to move to 5D, which is creator consciousness, fifth dimension, the vibration of abundance, being with your soul family, your gurus, your higher self, and living and embodying your truth. And that is what your next spiritual goal or purpose could be. So that's what I had to share with all of you. I hope you were able to make some sense out of it. And even if it couldn't, I'm glad that the energy exchange was there, that you opened yourself up, and now the energy will work with you, not just in the upcoming days, but sometimes weeks, months, and slowly you'll be able to integrate these concepts which I shared with you. We have a couple of minutes. If anybody would like to share anything, say anything, the platform is all yours now. Thank you so much for listening to me with such patience and grace. I would really like to hear from everyone participating right now.
Hi, Charu. I think Tobias has a question. He's asking, how do we distinguish between our true path, Dharma, and the expectations placed on us by others? How would you answer that?
Yeah, could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, sure. So Tobias is asking, how do we distinguish between our true path, Dharma, and the expectations placed on us by others?
So again, I would like to come back to the example that I shared that like I said, if your room is a space which you live in, it has your energy, it has your presence, and if there's something that is there in the room which is not yours, you immediately come to know because you are so in tune with your room and everything in there. Or your wardrobe, for example, you know all your clothes, right? Because you chose them yourself. You went and bought each piece of clothing, so you know what's in your wardrobe. If you go and you find a t shirt there which is not yours, you will immediately know this is not mine. So, similarly, when it comes to my karma, my dharma, my expectations, because the soul has already chosen a path for itself. And now we are just living that blueprint. So if I look at it from the perspective of the mind, I will never know. And that's the brutal and honest truth. From the mind space, I will never know what is my need, my desire, my wish, and what is the expectation from the other. But from the perspective of the soul, the blueprint which we have already made for this life, if we are able to access that from the perspective of the higher self knows everything about our current life. The higher self knows what challenges it has placed in our path. It knows who are the people who are going to come and help us. We are guardians, our saviors, our friends, our companions on the journey. The higher self is also going to know that what is the predisposition of the mind, what are the tendencies that you are carrying from the past karmas or the past lives, what is it that you are creating now, and what is it that is not yours. So, my short answer to this would be that from the perspective of the mind, we will never know. And that is why we need to meditate as much as possible, because when we meditate, I say it like this. So it's like there's a train of thoughts, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and it's like one after the other. There are thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. But when we start aligning ourselves with our breath, and whenever a thought comes, we let it pass. We go back to the breath, go back to the breath, go back to the breath. So, what happens is the space between these thoughts increases. It's not that the thoughts decrease, it's that the space between the thoughts increases. And when the space between two thoughts increases, you get more energy there. And when you have more energy and you have space between two thoughts, at that point you are able to distinguish the two thoughts from each other, and you are able to understand what is this thought about, whose thought it is, where it is coming from. So spiritual masters who are able to receive messages from people who are not in the body, from masters who are not in the body, how is it? Because they clearly understand their frequency, they are in touch with their higher self, they know their journey, they know their challenges, they know the path they have taken for themselves. They basically know the package that they have chosen before coming to earth. So anything that's not part of the package, the higher self is able to pinpoint that out, and you get a feeling, a gut feeling, an instinctual feeling. The more you meditate, the more emptiness there is within you, the more your gut feeling is activated, and you receive different messages, and you're able to clearly understand what is yours and what is not, energy wise. And that can be anything. It can be a thought, it can be an expectation, it can be a karma, anything. So that would be my short answer to that.
Beautiful. Next, we have one question from Natalia. She's asking, sometimes setting boundaries or walking away from relationships feels like bad karma. What are your
That's a very wonderful question, Natalia. Thank you so much. And this again um, comes from a very deep seated wounding, and um, a lack of preference to oneself. Because for example, just to give you in terms that we can understand, so we all go to work and then we earn some money. At the end of the month we get our salary. So the moment that you get your salary, do you just allow people to come and take it from you, from your bank? I mean, we don't even like it when the government, puts taxes on us. So even though we know where that money is going, but we still are so guarded about it, and we guard each cent, each penny, each rupee so meticulously, because we want to know where it's going, and that doesn't seem like bad karma at all. But why is it that when it comes to energetic boundaries, it feels like bad karma? When I'm putting myself first, it feels like, I'm not being a good girl or a good boy or a good human being, because I'm not putting others first. I'm not sacrificing myself for others. And again, it's a very, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's a very common experience that we have on this journey. But yes, again, I would like you, every time you have this feeling of, when I am setting boundaries, I am being bad. Maybe that also comes from some kind of narcissistic abuse, when people around us are not considerate of our boundaries. This kind of feeling also develops. So again, I would like to remind you to go back to your breath, meditate, allow that empty space to be there in your mind, in your soul, in your journey. And in that empty space, you will be able to realize who are these toxic elements who cannot honor my boundaries. Because trust me, I have been on that journey myself as well, as a spiritual seeker, as a woman. And especially this theme is very, very pertinent in Southeast Asia, because setting boundaries is very it's a part of the challenge, with families, with your spouse, with your children, with co-workers, colleagues, etc. And trust me, it's more of a challenge when you're coming from a Southeast Asian country. But that's what you realize when you begin this journey, that in honoring my boundaries, my true friends understand. And the people who are meant to be with me on my journey, they understand. And once you start doing that, you will realize it was so effortless all along, because you did not need to be someone anyone else expected you to be, um, to shine or to be your true self. And the only people who have a problem with your boundaries, who will make you feel guilty about it, who will make you feel like you are doing something bad, are people who are actually not honoring your boundaries in the first place. So, whenever this guilt or this kind of feeling of shame comes within you, have that awareness, pay close attention to it. What feeling or which person provoked that in me? Because they are probably showing me some pattern in my life that I need to correct. And depending on the context, then you can distance yourself from that person or situation, or work through a negotiation through which you can resolve that karmic pattern. Thank you so much, Natalia, for your question.
I think we have covered all the questions. Um, Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today and being part of this beautiful session. And thank you so much, Charu, for sharing your wisdom. To everyone who joined, hope all of you could align your karma with your dharma, discover your swadharma, and walk on the path towards mukti. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you to Smukti. Thank you.